because like that's what church is trying to do now. Trying to
And then it goes back like, is there one set of rules for everybody? Because if
basically what we talked about,
Yeah.
the other podcast, right? That was like what, 2 podcasts ago?
like first one, I think that was the first one we did,
Yeah.
or the second one.
But in that one we talked about the rules that were set for us.
Yeah. And then at the end of that, we kind of said that there was no rules. So then now it gets to the real world. Is that really true?
There's gonna be a certain
Yeah. So what episode is this? 4?
3, I think, or
4,
Check.
I think. I don't know.
2. Oh, that's crazy.
All right. So episode 4, Christ and Culture. We've been off for like 2 months, but
Summer vacation.
what we're going to try to do is do weekly as much as we can. So we're going to start here. One really main topic we want to go to. I don't know which one we want to start with. We each got basically went out, picked out topics from the internet. Christian, non-Christian, it could be anything. So I got one. I don't know if we want to start with this one or we want to.
Let's roll.
We'll start with this one. All
Yeah,
right.
I
So
think that's the biggest.
okay, so this is gonna take time. I'm gonna explain it a little bit. So, if you know the story, we're gonna talk about the kind of controversy or situation that preacher, podcaster, influencer Tim Ross has found himself in over the last maybe month or 2 months. I really don't know the timeline, but basically. So his podcast is called, I think it's called The Basement with Tim Ross. It's a flourishing podcast. He decided to step down as a pastor in 2022, according to this article. And he went full-time podcast ministry. So that's kind of like a new thing, right? Full-time podcast ministry, which his podcast is super successful, has more than 250,000 subscribers. However, he ran into some controversy when he cussed either on his podcast, I'm not really sure, or a podcast he went on when he was giving an interview. He cussed, and then he got backlash, obviously, from the Christian community. Basically, why are you cussing if you are a Christian influencer or you run a Christian podcast? And he also does preach on the side. I know he preached at Transformation Church semi-recently, I think. So we basically got a bunch of backlash. And the first thing that he did was he doubled down on his profanity, basically saying that he doesn't feel the conviction to not cuss. And a lot of people said that, well, then you're not, going through the Bible. Ephesians chapter 4:29, a lot of people threw at him. It says, let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. Preacher Tim Ross doubles down and says that in that specific verse, Paul's not talking about cussing. He's talking about gossiping and lying and backbiting and sowing and disregarding your brothers and sisters. So he doesn't feel compelled that verse specifically is about cussing. So that's why he basically defended his use of strong language. And basically, to sum things up, he finally went on Instagram Live and gave kind of like, not an apology, but he kind of said he was going to stop using profanity or stop cussing on his public platforms, because after a conversation he had with one of his preacher friends, basically, from what I understand from this article, that he doesn't want to be a stumbling block to other Christians or other new believers or even non-believers, so that it doesn't confuse people. So this is so interesting, at least for me in itself, because you could take it so many different ways. But the first question that I have, or that I want to discuss, is,
Do you cuss?
not do you cuss, right? Because we could talk about that, but I don't think. I think there's an added layer that is more important. But is it wrong for him to say that I'm not convicted to not cuss, but I just won't do it on a public platform? Is that like being fake? Is that like hiding something? Like, how do we view that, or how should we view that from a Christian perspective? If someone does not have the same conviction as you, is it hiding it, or how do we handle that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it does go a long way. I just feel like that should be something like just from the well, and the word does say a lot of stuff about what comes out from your mouth and heart, but I just feel like that should be like a conviction, that,
But what if it's not?
and if it's not, then
But you don't set the convictions for other people.
no.
So you were saying that should be a conviction, but that's you saying that. The Holy Spirit's the one who
That's where it gets
sets your
difficult.
convictions.
No, I know exactly, but in that case, it's a little rough because, I mean, we've all heard it.
Because we kind of assume like cussing is like black and white.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because like that's one of the things that growing up in church, like there are some things that are gray area, but then when there are also some things black and white, right? Do not kill, that's black and white. Do not envy your neighbor, right? Commandments, like black and white stuff. And then cussing, kind of like the bad finger, right? We just didn't do it, right? Because I don't know, there's this negative connotation
Yeah.
tied to it. And cussing is basically using the bad finger with our language. And I don't know, it's just viewed as black and white. And now this popular preacher says it's not black and white, it's actually gray. So that's where I'm kind of confused on this whole thing.
Well, we could always go back to the word. I mean, I'm sure like the word does say some information there. And I also got here like Ephesians 4:29. I mean, if you want to, I can go ahead and
That's the verse
Yeah,
you use.
yeah, read that
You did?
version
Yeah.
though. Read that
this
version.
version does say right here, and it states like this: "Let nothing foul or dirty come out from
Yeah.
your mouth." Say
Yeah.
only what helps, just each word or helps each other with, of course, each word as a gift.
But he said that that's talking about gossip and like
Yeah,
things like that, not about cussing.
In his the way he construed or understood that verse, it's more towards gossip, which I guess, right?
But
But then-
that's just falls in the same category.
That's just like warping the.
It kind of
word,
right.
no?
It could be viewed as that, taking the text or God's words or God's Bible and just using it the way you want to use it.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of times as Christians we kind of do that.
Yeah.
Right? When we preach, as a preacher, I mean, you use verses to fall into your sermon, which is not bad, right? All the time, unless you can like do them incorrectly, which you could say on one hand he is, on the other hand you could say that maybe he's not, right? Maybe to him, he doesn't think it's speaking to that exact quote unquote sin. So I don't know, like.
But my question, maybe you don't know the answer, but did he use like cuss words before this,
You see,
or
I
it
don't
was
know.
just like a spur
At
of
least
the
on this
moment
podcast, I think this was the first time it happened because from what I understand is he was getting very passionate speaking about slavery and domestic abuse, and then I don't know the context in which he used it, but basically he was mad and said like, I don't know, he just came out. And then that's when the cat was out of the bag, and then that's when he doubled down and said, yeah, he uses profanity because it is part of his characteristic or his emotion as a human.
Yeah.
And I think it's just interesting, but not to talk about Tim Ross because he's God is using him,
Yeah.
right? You can tell, but that's not really what I want to key on for him. But we could use that into other things in life. At what point do we become a stumbling block? And should we take this tack? Like, should we as Christians, as leaders, as veteran Christians trying to get new Christians, is this a good tactic to take that Tim Ross is taking, or a bad one in which we don't always show our full convictions in the public eye? So let's make this a little bit more tangible. If you don't, because this is a common sin that a lot of people disagree about, right? So let's talk about non-Christian music. Okay. So if you don't believe that non-Christian music has a negative impact in your life and you listen to it on your own time, should you post that on your public persona, or should you show that, is the question. Like, how would you handle that? So let's say I'm a pastor, right? You're a pastor.
Yeah.
And you go to a non-Christian concert. Is it bad to post that you're at a non-Christian concert, or is that okay? Because in your heart, it doesn't affect you. It's just something you do.
It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, let's say in
That's
your
your
heart, it
conviction.
doesn't affect you. It doesn't. You don't get convicted by it. You can listen to music. It can come in. It can come out, and it doesn't affect you. Because the thing with music is that for a lot of people, it doesn't affect them. I
In
can
their
listen
spiritual
to
walk, or?
yeah. You like some people can listen to music. They like the rhythm. They like the beat. And then they can walk out like nothing affected. It doesn't depress them. It doesn't put them in a bad mood. It doesn't pull them away from God, right? And then there's other people where they listen to a country song and they get depressed for the rest of the day, or they listen to a rap song and they're cussing and cursing every other word, and they're womanizing women or seeing them in a lustful eye, and everything changes, right?
Yeah.
So that is a conviction that a lot of people are split on. But as a leader or as a pastor, as someone who is an influencer in the Christian community, at what point should there be a line? Basically, what we're asking here.
On my point,
Yeah.
all I can say is that with music, because I'm a musician, like music, it's basically something that it connects to the heart. And specifically, if it's not for, like a worship to God, and if it's something else.
Edifying.
Yeah, like if it's something else, like no matter what, like if you say like it's not going to affect you, you may not see it, but it is, because in all reality, it's an opening. It's basically a portal to spiritual things that, of course, the enemy can use to distract you in many ways, and your feelings that you may possibly don't see. That's what I see, and that's what how I see, like, because going to a place like that and like posting it, and then that's my perspective on it.
Yeah. What if someone disagrees with that though?
They could. I mean, yeah, of course. There's going to be many people who disagree. I mean, honestly, on that point.
So I know where you stand, but let's say you didn't feel convicted by it. Would you second guess posting that on your social media, on your Snapchat story?
Me personally, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would.
Like if you weren't convicted by it, like if you didn't think another thing about it, like you're like, yeah,
Possibly,
like I don't know.
but you know what? In that case, possibly I would have, because I have no conviction.
You would
Exactly.
post it.
Because I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I think that there are stereotypes, right, that people have of like Christians, right? Like that, like don't cuss. You shouldn't listen to non-Christian music. You should, like, your whole life should be just like edifying to God, right? I mean, that's not, it's a stereotype, but it's like true, right? But so if somebody knows that you're a Christian and they see you posting things that don't align with that, even if your conviction isn't aligned with what they think it should be, then I think as leaders we shouldn't be that stumbling block. Because even if for me that conviction is not, or there isn't that conviction, for them it might have it. But if they see me like doing something that they're on the fence about, and then I'm like, well, that's fine, and I'm a leader, and they see me at church like worshiping and just like leading the congregation, and them being on the fence, seeing me just like disregarded that conviction, then I do think that we become stumbling blocks for their growth as Christians and as people.
Yeah, I think the question is basically, should your social media presence be driven by your convictions, kind of in an authentic way, or should it be driven by biblical standards? Because no matter how convicted you are, you could be the most conservative of Christian, there's always something that probably is going to, in a way, fall or not line up with something in the Bible.
Yeah.
Because we're all convicted differently. Some people can't listen to worldly music. They feel very strongly about that. Some people can. Some people say, oh, it's okay to drink. I can have a drink or two as long as I don't get drunk. Some people feel strongly about that. Some people feel strongly against that. Some people feel strongly about watching garbage on television. Some people can watch bad television and then it doesn't affect them. Some people, they get consumed by that. Some people, this is a crazy one. Some people don't believe that you need to go to church to be a Christian or to follow God.
Yeah.
And they feel strongly about that. Some people feel strongly about that. You must go to church and you must build the kingdom of God. So basically, should we drive our social media presence, because we live in the social media world, in the social media, everyone has a Facebook, everyone has an Instagram, and or maybe you have all of them, or Twitter, or TikTok, or like, should that, I guess kind of Gali said it, like, if we're leaders, we have a higher standard of living.
Yeah.
And I think what Tim Ross realized that after the fact, that, oh, my presence is so big that I don't want to be a stumbling block. And I think at the heart he was right? Because in a way we want to be authentic, we want to be open, we want to be transparent, because a lot of times as Christians that's where we're criticized of not being. But then at the same time, when we're honest, when we're open, when we're transparent, it's also going to open us to criticism.
Yeah.
And we can all be criticized by something. And I think just this is an amazing example of why social media is good and also why social media is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and that's the question, right? How transparent should we be on social media? How transparent should we be on this podcast?
That's true.
Like,
Well, I think like out of us three, I think I'm and I don't even post that much on social media.
yeah, I'm terrible at social media,
I'm second.
which is bad for a
Yeah,
pastor
but I'm
to be
saying
terrible at social media.
I post and I don't even post like that much. But I think everything that I post is like, and I don't know, maybe it's wrong or maybe it's right. I'm not too sure. But like, I don't post my opinions, if that makes sense. I just post like, oh, I went to this place, or
About your life,
yeah,
basically.
about my life. I don't post like, I think this about this. And I don't know, because not because I fear backlash, because I don't have like millions of followers or thousands of followers, right? But it's just, I don't know, like I feel like.
But what if you did?
What would you do?
I don't know.
Because what happens
But
when you gain influence?
Yeah, I guess it's that,
Yeah,
because
it's part
right
of
now
it.
I don't really have like a following, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if I post something, like the only people that are gonna see it are my friends. So I guess, but once you get to having like thousands of followers or millions of followers, that's because you're influencing people at that point, and then that's when, I mean, if I would ever get to that point, then that's
Yeah.
when your mentality should change of like, oh, I need to be careful, or I need to
Filter?
be selective of what you post on your social media.
I think you cannot gain influence until you begin to be transparent with who you are. Because that's the only way to gain a following. Because the following, if we think about it, followers is, why do you follow someone on Instagram or social media that is not your friend or not your coworker or not your church fellow Christian? Like, why do we follow someone on social media? Because
It
you
could be a
like
lot of things.
you like
Yeah,
you like the way they speak, or you like what their opinions on this is. Like, all right, Minor, go to your Instagram.
Okay.
Hopefully that's the same thing. Go to your follow. Like, who are you following? Go to who you're following, and then give me the first
2,000.
name. You're following 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's so many people.
Go to the first name that isn't your friend, isn't your family member, or whatever name is safe to say on the podcast. That isn't your
Okay.
family member, isn't your friend, isn't.
I was gonna say
and-
a friend who always
Grace
sends me.
Life.
isn't a church, isn't a restaurant, is just say, let's use an example.
All right, let me locate it. Let me see.
Hopefully you have to scroll that far. Who are you following?
Oh wow, that's a lot. A lot of people I follow.
Just say one.
They're all like people.
Just say one. I'll see if it works.
Well, I'm looking for an
Like a
actual-
famous person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to locate
You
them,
have to go to your.
but they're all like people
don't
I
have,
know.
like-
Yeah, they're all like real people. Man, you
Yeah,
know,
they're all real
2,000 real people. Man, that's
I don't think I know 2,000 real people.
I just made an Instagram. I follow like 20 people, and that's including famous people.
Yeah, they're just random people. I'm gonna have to keep scrolling down.
Go, just keep trying. We'll be here. We'll
Keep
wait.
scrolling down.
Yeah, we could edit this until we get to a name.
we're
Until we
gonna
get to a name.
We're not gonna edit it until he gets to your name. You don't follow any music artists?
I do a lot, so that's weird. I had to go all the way down.
Let me try to think. Which one?
That was a good one.
We're gonna put his following list.
The heck? There it is.
All right.
Let's see if this one's.
If it's a good one, he's catering.
Well, I just wanted to see if he has a lot of followers.
Yeah, let me see.
Well, this guy right here, this guitar player.
All right, so we have this person. This guy's pretty influential. He has a few thousand followers. So this guy, his name's Dimitri, right? He's a
Yeah.
guitarist.
Yeah, he's a
right?
guitarist.
So why do you follow him?
Because I'm a guitar player.
But why? Like, it's not
like-
just because you don't
Well-
follow
You don't
all
follow-
guys.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
but
why him? Why?
If I guess like came across one of his videos, I'm sure I like what he did,
You
like
like-
the
yeah, you
riffs or solo or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Because you like something that he
Exactly.
did, or maybe something he said, right? And for that situation, something he did. For another situation, like let's say you follow, for example, I'll say with some person that I follow. I follow a lot of pastors, but I follow Pastor Rich Wilkerson Jr. because I like the way he speaks. I like the way he preaches. I like the way he thinks of or breaks down Bible verses, right?
Yeah.
That's why I follow him. So that's why he's influential in my life. That's why that guy's influential in your life, because you like the way he does things. But if I didn't know any preaching from Pastor Rich, if I had never ever seen a sermon he did, if I didn't know his story, I would not follow him. So in order to gain a following, we have to be open. We have to be transparent. People have to see some personality in us, and then you follow him. So when Tim Ross does this or makes this mistake or does this controversy, his follower count is either going to grow or it's either going to go down. In my opinion, I think it's going to
Do we
grow.
know if it
I'm
will
pretty
go?
sure it grew.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm not saying he did it because of that, but there's a endearing element of someone being honest
Authentic.
and transparent. So how
It
transparent should
can
we
go
be?
both ways,
Yeah.
like you just said. Like it can.
So let's do an example of that in your own specific life.
Yeah.
If you're willing to share someone other than me, right? Because I've been talking a lot. I mean, I have one I could share if you want. But something that you don't feel convicted about, but could be convicted to other people.
Let me think, man.
Let's get hot, as Pastor Todd says. It's not weird. Hot, honest, open, and transparent. There has to be one out there.
I think a good solid one's procrastinating.
That's,
No,
that's
come on.
not a
So let's get deeper.
conviction.
Let's get deeper.
Mine are like,
Deeper,
I'm
deeper?
perfect.
Yeah.
I procrastinate a lot.
Yeah,
That's
you
not a
procrastinate.
conviction.
but-
That's something that
like
everybody
some-
does.
Yeah, like something against the Bible. Not against the
Something
Bible, but
against
like
the
something
Bible?
is
That
like
could
in
be
the gray
controversial.
area of the
Yeah.
Bible. Like, let me see. Let me think. Think.
Wait, give me some.
Yeah, I'm trying to think for
Yeah,
you.
give me some.
What about tattoos? What do you?
What do I think about it? Well, no, like not to get.
You wouldn't get one, right? Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I would
yeah.
not.
Trying to think. Oh, we did one. Oh no, that kind of doesn't work. It's like for something else. Trying to think. I don't know. Nah, but that's not like I was thinking about that.
Which one?
Like owning a gun, because you own a gun. And I was thinking about. Oh, hey, that's a good one actually.
What's
right,
up?
that happened to you.
What?
That you posted a picture
Yeah.
with your gun on Instagram or Snapchat.
Both.
And then what happened?
I
Like
didn't
tell
see that.
tell that story.
Nothing. I
That-
just got a lot of likes.
when did this?
A lot of people were.
But
just,
didn't you take it down?
No. I still
I
have.
thought
it.
that your sister was telling you to
So
take
at
it.
first, I didn't have a conviction of it. So I was like, yeah, like, everybody, like, But then it came to me, like, it clicked to me, like, hey, I'm a leader, like people are gonna see that, like, oh, he has a gun, like, they may say stuff, negative things about it, because like about gun violence, and I feel like now, like
that's more
3 years
prevalent.
ago, like
in the media.
that's been like an ongoing thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, take it down, or we shouldn't have that. But when I posted it, like, of course, a lot of my friends were saying, oh, like, look at you, I was like, no, they were just relating. But it did came to me after. I was like, wow, and I guess I can relate to that.
It's similar to this.
It's similar because I'm like, okay, like, is this something okay? Like, should I have it in my social media? And they'd be like, hey, isn't that the guitar player who plays at Grace Live? Showing his
Yeah.
gun and everything. Like, who do you think he is?
No, yeah, that's like almost an exact example of this.
Yeah.
But so when you posted, I didn't see that picture of mine.
This was like a year ago, right?
Yeah. I think
it's like-
so.
When you
it's a
posted
while.
it,
was
did
a while
you
back.
did you even think about it, or it was just like
At first I did.
like
At first I did.
nature?
I was like, I was a little iffy about it, but my family was like, nah, it's okay. Like, you look good in the picture. I was like, I guess they kind of like, they gave me that comfort saying like, it's going to be fine. So like, all right, okay. I just posted it. And then it came to me like, man, should I really have this on my social media? But I mean,
So would you post, like, let's say, would you post again a picture similar to that or like that?
me, now that I've thought about it, yes,
post it again?
I would.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's
Because,
fine. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not posting political things about it.
yeah.
It's, I think I always go back to it as a kid. We always play with water guns, stuff like that. So
Yeah, boys.
I'm not-
More boys.
yeah, but I'm not saying like it's something like we have to have or
Yeah.
guys have to grow into. But I guess it's kind of like saying like something. As a kid, I was like, oh man, like I actually have now a real gun. Like it's pretty interesting. But
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that has been politicized too much. Where
Yeah, exactly.
Where just because you have a gun means whatever.
You think this way.
Yeah, it's not always true, but
yeah, because
no, but that's a good example actually, almost perfect to the thing.
well, I was gonna say because like you said, we were talking about this before the podcast started, but you said like cussing isn't like it should be a bad thing. Everybody should know that, right? Like, but what I was trying to get to is like he didn't even think twice about like the words that were coming out of his mouth. They were just
Yeah,
they were just
I think
like
that's the perfect
nature,
example of
right?
having
Like-
no conviction over it.
like he didn't, or I mean not, we're talking about this specific moment, right? But like when you don't have conviction over something, it just happens naturally. Like it's not, you're there like, oh, should I do this, should I say this?
I think that if you have those conversations in your head, that's
You're
conviction.
yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
like if you're
But it was so like, it just, I guess it just flowed. Like
Yeah.
the conversation just flowed. Those words just came out.
I think the bigger problem or mistake that he made was his response to after it happened. Because if he had just said where he ultimately got to, the point where he's like, I'm just not going to do it on social media, I think it would have been fine. I think him saying, oh, I'm not going to stop is when it really got messy. And not like to say that he cares about that, because he might not. Like,
Yeah.
he might be open to talking about that, but I think that's where the misstep was. Because we're all going to have different convictions. The disciples post Jesus had different convictions to the extent where they realized they're like, no, we can't work together. So they separated. I mean, we could pull up the story. They separated because they were having the disagreement on circumcision. And some
Okay.
people were like, this, like, you need to do this or you need to do that. And then they're like, you know what? It's okay to disagree on this one subject, but let's not forget about the ultimate goal of spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes we get bogged down by these, not to say that they're not important, but they're not everything. And I think sometimes we feel like when we get to the gates of heaven that there's going to be a list and say Minor didn't agree with this, so he can't come in, and it's not like that. Right? Not to say that everything is okay, but admittedly there are some gray areas when it comes to these things, and I didn't think cursing was one, but I mean maybe it is. I don't know.
Is there convictions that you think we should have, like, as a church?
Yeah. So I think that there are convictions. Like,
Like, for example, right? Like, let's say I was in his position, like, and I said, well, I just won't do it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But then you hear me at church, and I'm like cussing this way, cussing that way. Like, I think it's like if he feels, or if a situation feels so controversial or so, I don't know what the word is, but like so, I guess controversial to be posted on a public platform, then why would you do it in your private life? Because he says he doesn't want to be a stumbling block for people on the internet, right? But what about the people around you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, it could be the example of like the people around you know your heart more. And the people that are listening may just only hear that clip, and now he's judged or known by just that clip. Mm-hmm. Whereas the people that are with you every day, they know your heart. They know that you're going to mess up. They know that sometimes you mess up. They know that sometimes you stub your toe. Maybe you say the wrong word because you're mad or you're angry, which is an entire conversation in its own, right? But, or sometimes you get in an argument. You get in a heated argument with your family and you say something, but you don't really mean, but you just say it because it's in the moment. But your family knows your heart.
Yeah.
They don't. When you're a kid, you say, man, I hate you, mom, or I hate you, dad. Your dad and your mom know that you don't really hate them. But if you post that on your story, they're like, man, this girl's a jerk or this guy's a jerk. They hate their parents. Mm-hmm. I think that's what more it's about, in my opinion, that people know your heart in your individual life and know that's not all you are or only who you are.
Yeah.
Versus social media is like, social media is always taken out of context.
I guess yeah, like I agree with that. But I meant more in like public settings, I guess. Like if he was out and about in life and people are like, hey, that's the guy, or that's a
I mean,
Christian,
I don't think he's like cussing every other line, every other sentence.
Yeah.
I think this is the typical of many Christians out there. They get mad and they say something that they regret. And I mean, he gets angry and he gets passionate and then something comes out, right? It's just, that's what I think more this was about, at least for him. I mean, I don't know him.
Yeah.
I've heard a sermon of his. I've heard a couple of podcasts clips
Have you ever
of
said a
him.
bad word?
I think that's what more it was about. I don't think he was cussing.
Just to cuss.
Yeah, like I think it was just something that came out and the cat was out of the bag and he had to say what he believed, and he stood on his belief. And then he made the decision to not hide, but just not publicize it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things like that can be, and like you said, for the church convictions is like, like I'm not going to put my personal opinions on our church page, right? I mean, if I believe that we should vote for this person, I'm not going to tell the church that they should vote for this person, or if I'm not going to tell the church that they should not do this or not do that, because that's my personal convictions, which in a way as a pastor, they kind of reflect the church, but also the church is a church, and there's so many different personalities in the church, so many different relationship levels with Jesus as a church. The one thing I'll say about convictions, and we can move on if we want, is that the more we grow closer to God, the more stronger our convictions should grow. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that means like, and I don't want that to be construed as if you have certain convictions, it means you're closer to God than someone else. But I don't think that the closer you get to God, convictions should really change. I don't know if that really makes sense.
Can you say that again?
The closer we get to God, I don't think your convictions should change. I think they should strengthen. So like I know people that like, oh, I used to believe that listening to worldly music was bad, that was a conviction of theirs, but then they got closer to God and it reversed. I don't think that's so. I think if you're convicted by something,
if it turns back.
Yeah. I think if you're convicted by something, that's your personal conviction the whole time.
Yeah.
I just think that's so. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's just the way I think. And I think when you're convicted by it a little bit, that the closer you get to God, it'll only strengthen that conviction. So the
idea doesn't change.
Yeah,
it's just
the idea.
The matter of,
yeah.
or the what's it called? The amount.
Yeah. I think when we become Christians, like our first moment that we give our lives to Christ, we kind of already know our convictions in our heart. Like maybe you have some that don't, because when we think about it, when we come to Christ, we're supposed to change, right? So what that means is basically we say change, and basically we think of like dropping habits. That's your convictions growing. That, oh man, I'm not supposed to smoke. Oh, God doesn't want me to drink, or God doesn't want me to listen to this, or God doesn't want me to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's your conviction strengthening. I don't think it happens the opposite. Oh, I got closer to God and now I can drink, or I got closer to God and now He wants me to smoke marijuana or smoke a cigarette. I just don't think that. I don't think that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just what I think of convictions.
No, I agree with you. Like, I don't think every verse is bad.
Yeah, like
it's.
I mean, the only time that it might is when, like, maybe you grew up in a bad environment, church environment, where you feel like you can't do nothing. That's the only thing. But that's like rare nowadays, because that's kind of like the olden days. Those churches are far and few in between nowadays.
Yeah.
Where it kind of changes. But that's just one thing on conviction that I always remember, at least for me, that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, interesting thing. Do you have another topic?
I think you.
No.
Yes, you did.
So that's good.
No,
I mean,
it's just.
it's good conversation. Yeah, Golly had one.
Yeah.
No, now it seems so like.
So.
No, we could end it with something lighthearted or something
Yeah.
different. Yeah, we could end it. Something different.
What was your topic?
It was with Mike.
You can't join up with Mike.
Yeah, that's what you
Mike
said.
brought his own topic.
Talk about Mexico.
No.
Did they play today?
Yeah, and so does the U.S.
Let's go.
Oh, for us?
Who do you think's gonna win?
Wait, who does Mexico play?
Australia? But they're friendlies.
Oh, okay. So that doesn't matter.
They're
doesn't mean
qualified for the
top
World
ones are
Cup.
gonna play.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
It's Guatemala.
Oh heck no.
Well,
They're playing, no?
I don't know.
They play sometimes.
it's just when the World Cup starts.
We're just
yeah,
World
we're just
Cup
World Cup fans,
Champions
like me.
They're in the World Cup.
No, we're
Yeah,
saying like
Oh, you only watch it when it's the World Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We only
or
watch
Messi
World Cup.
to Miami.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hyde got sentenced to 30 years in prison.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. But, well,
You
I
ever
saw.
watch that
you
70s
don't-
show?
You don't watch the 7. That's.
No, you never seen
what?
it?
That 70s
that
show.
70s show. It's from like the 2000s.
No, I don't think so.
It's a good. It's a funny show. But anyways, one of the actors got sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. He raped 2 women.
He sexually assaulted them.
Yeah.
I don't
It's sad.
know if.
Crazy story.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis wrote letters
Yeah,
for
they wrote
him,
letters.
and people were like, "Why are they backing like such a bad person?"
Yeah, I mean that's a difficult thing because you kind of. I mean, I assume if you're their friend, you kind of want to believe that they're innocent, but yeah, they took a hit on the public eye. But no, I mean that's sad. That was one of my
That's their
favorite shows growing
conviction.
up. Honestly, it's a funny. It was a funny show. I don't know if it still holds up. I haven't watched it in a while, but
No, because of the Metro Herb kid that won't go every year to jail. And he got 30 years for raping 2 women.
yeah, he's kind of like a lesson. I mean, I don't know the specifics of what exactly he did. Like, it might have been bad. But I think part of it was that he never showed any
Remorse.
resentment or remorse throughout the whole trial or whatever. And, I mean, it is what it is. It's just
We'll
unfortunate.
just talk about controversies this episode.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. And also, the other culture topic I saw was the Joe Jonas and
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner.
But I don't know
got
if
a
enough
divorce
about them to talk
over
about.
Ring. The doorbell, right? What is it called? Ring?
Oh yeah, they're according
don't get a
to
Ring
sources.
for your house.
Joe Jonas heard a video or something through the doorbell of their house that like ended the marriage. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the memes are pretty funny. Like, unfortunately, like it's not a good.
It's not a funny
Good thing to
situation.
joke about.
Yeah.
I mean, they're celebrities; they'll be fine. But I feel bad for more for the kids, right? I think he has 2 kids, but
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. But there was one meme that was super funny that that said that Joe was tired that Sophie kept putting the dishes.
Oh
on the
yeah,
top.
on the top shelf. I
Oh,
saw
that's
that.
funny. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah.
I also saw that Jimmy Fallon got sort of, kind of, like mildly canceled because he, according to some employees, he was kind of doing the Ellen DeGeneres thing, like that. Like
Being
it
a
was,
jerk?
yeah, it
I
was
don't
like
know.
a toxic environment.
But did Ellen get canceled? Is she done? Like she retired?
The show
no
got
more.
canceled,
The show
yeah,
got canceled. Oh, okay.
but maybe because it was on too long. I don't know.
I've never been a Jimmy Fallon person. I think the only thing I liked was Fever Pitch, his movie. That's the only thing I saw.
Never heard of it.
No, that's a good. That's. I mean, I don't know if it's a good movie. It's a baseball love story movie, but I liked it. I've never. I never see his show. I never see his skits, but
I only see
You never
like
seen
the
the show?
things that are on YouTube.
What?
I
You
don't think,
watch it.
I think I've seen some
I'm
of his
saying
stuff.
a show.
But
No, he's saying he's never seen his show.
Oh, I heard a show.
yeah, I saw a lot of these late shows. Like I don't like the other guy that does the car thing.
James Corden.
James
he
Corden.
he quit his show or something.
Yeah, it's different.
I said we should do carpool karaoke, but I got it from him. So.
Yeah, these late night shows, it's impossible because no one's watching them anymore. Now it's everything like clipped
Yeah.
either on YouTube, on Twitter, TikTok. Like if they're not clipped there, like they're not gonna succeed. But yeah, the late night shows are pretty much even Saturday Night Live. A lot of that's dying too. Like
Yeah.
it used to be when I was younger. I mean, it used to be like appointment TV. Like you would watch it. Your parents would go to bed. You just turn it on. Pretty funny. But yeah. What else happened in the news this week?
This week.
Some interesting things. School's back up.
Yeah.
How is your
Traffic.
first? How's
We're
the
not in
traffic
school.
been? No, but Minor drives all the way to Harlingen. Is the traffic different?
McAllen.
University of
McAllen. I don't know why I always say Harlingen.
Yeah.
Is
Arlington, there's no
Is
traffic.
the traffic different now? That school starts it's about the same.
It's about the same. Yeah. Not so much.
I've been to Edinburgh and it's worse because
Oh yeah, the overpass.
the overpass
Yeah,
isn't there
no.
anymore. Oh, I hate McAllen traffic.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. If I don't have to go, I usually don't go to McAllen anymore. I'll go to Harlingen. Harlingen.
Yeah, same.
Less traffic, less people, chiller. But yeah,
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Traffic.
fall. I love the fall season.
This week, supposedly, we're going down to the 80s.
For reals, there's a
So-
cold front coming.
Yeah.
Oh, man, finally.
So apparently, so we're out of the
been
hundreds
hot.
now. Well,
Yeah,
well, I
so
mean,
hot.
we'll have to wait and see because
So what, next week?
this coming
This
week.
upcoming
So you
we're
can
going
get
to
your
80s?
leather jacket out.
So
Why not?
get your coat, get your
think I have
winter
it anymore.
coats.
You don't have it no more?
I don't think so.
That was your signature jacket back then.
For real?
Yeah,
Oh,
like in the
we've been told it's not the 80s, it's the 90s.
2000,
90s?
2020.
Oh.
That's still cold, minor.
It's a
We've been
little
in the
fresher.
hundreds.
It's fresher than 100s for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Get your sweaters out and your scarves.
September, hopefully by October, where it's getting a lot cooler. But I don't know. This weather.
Last year, Christmas was hot.
Yeah. Yeah,
I remember that.
And
I
it's
hate
just,
when- I hate
and
when
then
Christmas
this
hot.
year we entered global scorching. So
you don't think so?
What?
Do you?
That what?
You think we did or no?
Global scorching?
Well, you sound like you.
it's scientific.
I mean, I feel like it's
I
always.
thought it was super
I
hot
think
this
it's
year.
been hotter this summer than like other
than
summers.
usual, yeah.
I think that's the adult effect.
What?
So there's this theory. I don't know if we want to get into this, but we could cut this if we're not. So there's this theory that I have
Oh,
that
that
and I think
Mike
I think
has.
it's true. So think of your own lives, right? Think of your specific lives. To me, I remember when I was a kid, time went slow. Nowadays you blink and 3 hours have passed, right? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like I feel like time going so fast, and not necessarily individual days, but like time. Like it's already September, or like
Yeah.
like when like Minor always comes in Sunday morning. Oh, it's already tomorrow. He's gonna say it's already September 10th.
we have practice on Thursdays, and miner's like, it's already Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
It's already
And, So that's
Saturday.
my
It's
already
theory
Friday.
that time goes by super fast now because we're adults, but when we were kids, it would go by so slow. That's why the holidays were much more enjoyable when we were kids.
You're right.
because you feel like, oh, I have summer break. When I was a kid, I thought summer break was so long, and then when I grew up into an adult, like man, it's
Because
only
now
like
we don't
10
have
days.
breaks. We're just
It's
the
only like
whole
10
year we're
days, like,
working.
Now that Abby's a teacher, I'm like, man, she only gets 10 days off. That's like so short. And then
In summer?
No, in Christmas break. It always zooms by. Like, so my theory is when you're a kid, you enjoy
what I say,
things
what?
better. You don't think about the negative sides.
Hey,
You
10
just
days is
like the
still
fun
good,
things.
though.
The what?
10 days is still good for Christmas.
Yeah, I just thought it was long. I thought it was like 3 weeks when I was a kid.
You're right. It was like 2
It
weeks.
felt
It
so
was,
long.
no?
I think it's 2 weeks.
No, I think it's always been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Abby says it's been, what, 4 weeks?
No, it's always been.
Sometimes it was like, it was from like the,
maybe it was
the
there you go.
20th
That burst
to
my
like the
theory bubble.
7th.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
right. You're right. Because it was like the 15th or something like
But
that.
I do think it's been hotter this year.
Okay, so
Because-
that goes into the theory.
They
Like
say it's
when we
gonna
were
be
kids,
colder.
I mean, we were always. I mean, I was always outside when I was younger,
Me too.
and I remember it being hot. Like I don't know what like maybe like
didn't check the weather back
technically
then.
like the temperature's like a couple degrees hotter than like the
usual.
average. Than I mean, it's not much. It's a couple degrees, and I mean from science, that's a lot, right? A couple degrees is a lot. It's the difference between apparently the icebergs melt now. I don't know.
Yes.
I haven't seen it with my own eyes, so I can't say for
Yeah,
sure.
we're not there.
But I mean, a
You're
couple
not the
degrees
polar
is a
bear.
lot,
See the proof
right?
to believe.
So I don't know. Like when we're kids, do we really care about the weather? We just want to go and play.
Nah, we don't.
And now,
But now
we
kids
don't go
can't
outside.
go outside because it's too hot and they get dehydrated.
The kids don't care about my.
Kids now,
Yeah,
They don't care about it.
No, they
get
do.
cold, they're
That does
dehydrated.
happen. They get burned. They get sick. They get dehydrated. But they'll still go. Right? They'll go.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that
my
the
nephew
weather
and
hasn't
niece-
changed.
My nephew and niece will go out in the pool at noon, like we're at 1 or 2. That they don't view it, and then then they get sick. But I don't know. Like I don't know. I always drink water. Maybe I was just super hydrated all the time.
Every single time summer happens, because, well, I'm not used to the cold, right? So when it gets cold, like in January, February, and then like it cools down in March, April, and then when like May and June hit, it's just like hot. So I always forget how hot it gets.
Yeah, it gets hot.
it's hot.
It's
Super
hot.
It gets so hot. I literally stand outside and I'm sweating.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hot. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. It's hot, but I don't know if it's more hot.
But
Yes, we haven't been to like the 102s.
Science says that instead of it being 99, it's 101.
yeah, real
Yeah,
feel.
That's fine.
Yesterday was 109.
Feel.
Man, we could prove that today.
Yeah, that's how it felt. It felt like
Yeah.
I was boiling.
I think that's the test.
What's
What
that?
did it feel like in 1999 on September
I wasn't born
the
then.
9th?
I was 3 years
9
old.
I was 9 years old.
You're 3 years old. You're 96.
I was born.
Bill Clinton was the president, right? 1999.
Don't ask me.
I was
don't
3.
know.
Minor
I was
wasn't even born
non-existent.
yet.
I was non-existent.
I think George Bush became president in 2000. Yeah, because then 2008
You
was
were-
Obama.
you
Yeah.
were already born then.
Wait, who was the president with George Bush? Was it Bill Clinton? Yeah, I
Abby?
think it was Bill Clinton. Right? Anybody?
Born
Abby?
in 1980.
History buffs?
When was you
Jamie,
born, Abby?
pull that up.
1985.
Let's look. Real feel.
Yeah, I mean, because that's if you're gonna do that.
September.
Yeah, he was president. You
What,
gotta-
1999?
Yeah, he was president in 1999. So what was the?
National Climate Report.
I mean, it's hot. I don't. I think that's just the
You
thing.
just don't
it's
think
hot.
I forgot that
as
was the topic
If
we were
we're saying-
talking about. I was like, okay, let's go to presidents now.
No, yeah. I mean, it's hot. Like basically, it's that. Like in my head, there's like
Well,
3
it's
temperatures.
hot and apparently it's going to be colder.
yeah.
I hope
Hopefully.
so.
I hope
'Cause
not.
it's either it's
I hope we get a
cool.
rest.
There's like 4 degrees in my head, like that I go by. It's cold. No, there's 5 because
Hot.
it's freezing. It's cold. It's fresh, or it's cool. It's fresh, and then it's hot.
You forgot warm.
I don't in the valley. I don't think there's warm. It's like hot.
It's just
'Cause
hot or cold.
Because if we think about it, even when we complained about Christmas, I bet you it was like 83.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, and we said it was hot.
No, it's fresh.
Because if it was 80 degrees now, like in the summer, we would say, oh, it's fresh. But because it happened in December, it was hot.
Yeah, it's 'cause the
It's,
expectation is higher.
Yeah, so that's my theory. Because the expectation when we're kids is not hot. Like we don't care
about it.
But now we care. We look at the weather before we step outside. We look at the weather.
That's so true.
We look at the weather before we get dressed.
That's true. Because
Yeah, I
like
still-
if I were to
I
ask
still
my
don't.
little cousin, like, hey, what's the weather? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So
I'll
that's
ask
all.
Minor.
That's
He'll
all
know.
I'm saying. I'm not anti global warming or anything. I'm just saying like we have to look at it with context. Like, is it that really big of a deal? Like, obviously the storms are worse, right? The hurricanes. It's like a category 5. Like it grew like in 3 days. Like it's crazy.
It's gone.
The waters are cold, but when I go to the beach, the waters are warm according to science, but when I go to the beach, it's still
cold.
cold. Yeah, still cold for me. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's good. Though. You went what, a month ago or 2 months ago?
It was like in early August, about
Early
a month ago.
August,
It was
right.
cold. It was actually, it wasn't cold. It was not that cold. It was nice and fresh, but
I was gonna say, do you know that we shouldn't describe the weather as fresh?
What?
It's like a state of like food is fresh. Not the weather is fresh.
What is
But
the
we always
definition of
say
fresh?
that. I think it's because in Spanish you say está fresco afuera.
is that a
But
Hispanic
it's not,
thing?
It's not like
I think it's a Hispanic
so.
thing.
Or
Is it,
like
Gali?
an American thing. I'm not sure. But it's not like a state of like weather, like hot, cold.
I guess.
That's the first time
I saw a TikTok on it.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. I mean, do I say fresh? It's fresh.
You would
outside?
say lettuce is fresh.
I know. Yeah, I
Like the
said it
food is fresh,
Yeah,
right?
'cause it's
Because it just
cool.
came out.
fresh bread.
Fresh bread. It just like it's brand new.
Yeah.
You don't say the weather is fresh, but we say it's fresh outside.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess like fresh as in, like the breeze.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna use that word no more.
because in Spanish you say fresco.
Okay.
Oh, I think that's where it comes from.
So we
but I
say
don't know what
fresh.
people up north.
Oh dang.
I don't know
I
if
think they
people all
say
over
it's fresh
all over the
I'm not
country
Hispanic,
say
so I don't
it's
know.
fresh.
I don't know.
But I always think about like things that we shouldn't say that we do say. Like people say library, and it irks me.
Library?
Or you know when we say, well, I don't know if you guys say it.
Sandwich. They say sandwich.
Sandwich?
It's
In Spanish, people say parquear and parqueadero.
I say that
That
I don't know.
irks
when I
me.
try to speak Spanish. Puedes parquear aquí. Yeah. Yeah.
Now part of the
I think it's in the dictionary.
We bullied
We
the Spanish language into
Mexicans into or the Spanish language.
YouTube. YouTube it now.
YouTube, yeah.
YouTube it is now
Yeah.
definitely.
Is it a noun? I mean a verb
It should
to
be.
YouTube something
it.
or to Google something.
Google it on YouTube.
I just Google it on YouTube.
I've heard people say
Oh my
that.
goodness.
I TikTok it now.
I don't know how to search TikTok. Like I never find when I search on TikTok, I never find what I'm looking for. So weird. Even when I search on videos that I've seen, I never.
But you
find the
see like
videos.
millions of videos
I
a
don't
day.
see millions of videos.
Oh, I see millions of videos a day.
That's
So if I'm trying to find something that
Well,
I saw this morning,
I
I'm not gonna find
swipe. I might swipe through millions of videos because I just go until I see something that might.
it. You're on TikTok, Minor?
Yeah, mine's on TikTok.
Well, here and
He said
there.
no.
Here and there.
Mine is on TikTok as I'm on Instagram. I send him messages and he doesn't see them till like days later.
Yeah, because TikTok can get addicting.
Yeah, I think it's my highest.
I try
On
to stay
my
away from
screen time.
TikTok. Yeah. Instagram's like,
Let's check.
it's okay.
Mine for sure is Twitter. Highest screen
X.
time. Yeah, X or X, whatever. I love. Yeah, that's where I get my news from.
How do you check?
I think it's like in your settings, screen,
weekly report.
something like that. Yeah, I get.
Oh, screen time.
Data stats or something like that.
I miss the days when you would have to go like to Yahoo News or CNN or Fox News.
TikTok is 12 hours and 47 minutes.
This week,
Yeah.
so that's like
that
two. That's
daily
not
or
bad. That's
a
not
week?
bad. 2 hours a day, less than 2 hours a day. That's.
I usually do it at work. Oh, that's bad at work.
Don't worry.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Hopefully they
With
don't
the
see this.
news, even though the news is right in front of me.
Oh man.
But, yeah,
Yeah, Instagram for me tells me everything.
How?
there's news on Instagram.
Yeah, I follow a page. It's like I forget what it's called. Like
Breaking news.
no, Repub.
USA
It starts
Today.
with an R, but it tells you all about
Reddit.
the wars and stuff going on, stuff like that. What's going on today? So sometimes they're like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's also tough to like. Also, you gotta be careful because like it's hard to trust news outlets like who.
Yeah.
Especially
This
not
one's
the
pretty
main ones.
legit.
Especially not
Yeah.
like CNN,
Legit to
Fox.
you?
Like,
Well, a lot of people
I'm not even talking about like disinformation. I'm talking about like legit news
In
because
general,
yeah.
there's
that's what I'm saying.
accounts that tweet things or like send things out and they're like super false, like not even close to real.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone dies or they're like I hate that all the time. That's the bad thing with getting your news from social media. Like not even talking about disinformation because I mean who cares about that? Like not even talking
Who
about
cares
that.
about that? I get my news from Twitter.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I'm
news
talking
from Twitter.
Yeah.
Like things that happen in pop culture, I'll get from TikTok.
about. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, pop culture or podcast. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're good. Episode 4. Like and subscribe our channel. Yeah, any last
Share.
words? Yeah, share this.
Share this. Give us your opinions on social media.
Yeah, social media is good. Last disclaimer: we weren't necessarily like rebuking Tim Ross. We're just using his example.
Yeah.
I think it's just a good example. If you want to
Just
come on the
giving our
podcast,
opinion on-
you can come and argue in
Oh,
your
yeah.
case on this.
It's a
But
good
yeah,
example of reality.
And let us know if you want to see us argue more because we've been talking that we agree too much. So,
yeah, we can
or
talk
give
about,
us topics that we can argue
We could have
about.
a debate. But
No, I don't want to fight with anyone.
I'm open to debating.
I'm open to
I'll
debate
just
too.
I'll just watch on the
Yeah.
side.
I'm open to debate too.
Yeah, we know you're open to debate.
You are too.
No.
You
So
know
next
you
week,
are.
everyone brings their presidential candidate that they go, and we'll have a debate.
I'll bring a hat.
Yeah. All right, we'll see y'all. Thank you.
Bye.